get my sit. It didn't go perfect. He's going to slam me forward. That's fine. Pat my hand. Hit a knee. Right back to the same spot and come right back up and go. So now you're adding chain wrestling to the series for the next level of kid. And then when you get past that kid, and you get to probably the 12, 13, 14, right as they're going into high school and then high school as well, is base maintenance beforehand. So I'll have these guys get set in the room, and I'll be the one doing the drill in terms of it's for me, but you're on top. He's pretty much just going to go crazy trying to break me down. I don't care what breakdown he uses, arm chop, spiral, whatever he wants to do. My job on bottom is to keep my center of gravity, keep my hands light, and I can sit back into them, but I'm not allowed to stand up. I have to maintain base. So 15, 20 seconds, tiring to the top of it. And you have him go. So you're just going to try and knock me down however you can. Stay off. Come here. Short sit. I didn't grab a wrist. In a good position. He can't get anything. He's getting tired. I'm really not. Knees wide. Knees high. So I'm maintaining perfect position without having to do all of this. And he's going. If the kid does that in the match, 15, 20 seconds, he's dead. Dead. Now it's really easy to get up. So if we get our kids conditioned to maintaining the base, staying up. If you fall over, get right to bring back up. Don't lay there. If you lay there, he's going to get the wrist and all that kind of stuff. So,
and to that point, that was one of the main things we harped this year at the high school on bottom was you get broken down, build your base, get back to your base. Because the guys would get broken down and then they would lay there on their bellies and try to figure out what's next. So we harp on them, build your base, build your base. That way they're not laying there trying to figure out what to do next. All right, they immediately build their base, and then from there, I'm trying to work my stand-up again. All right, and then if it doesn't work, then we can transition to another move, but build the base, don't just lay down there.
That's 100% it. And again, those are the general fundamental positioning points. Now I'm going to cover the caveats. What happens when you get broken down? What happens when your wrist gets given up? How do you get back to master position? Everything will be how do we get back to what we just covered so that we have a plan of attack. Again, I don't want to overload the kids with, well, you could do this move, this move, this move. Yeah, you can, but I need you to master a couple. And then when you master them, then you can branch out and add. But giving them a home base to go back to every time, I think is key, especially when they're young. They're just not going to put it all together. They're just not. They're young kids. So if I make a mistake somewhere along the way and I don't end up in master position where I want to be, and I end up flat on my face, just slide. So I need knee bracing flat. Back up. The number one problem, the number one problem I see on bottom, little kids through high school, doesn't matter, is what I'm doing right now is elbows on the mat. If my elbow is on the mat at any point, I can't stop him from reaching underneath and grabbing that wrist. My arm only goes so far, and he can reach. I can't because my elbow's on the mat. It's physics. So I teach my kids, palms go in the mat. So I'm here, my palm goes in the mat, and I straighten my arm. Now I don't have to do anything. I get my wrist. I can't even reach it. Can't even get it just because of the way your body has to bend. So kids that are lazy and they're tired and their freaking heads down, yeah, you're giving up wrists left and right because it's easy. But if I have my kid here when he gets flat and he puts his arms out, elbows straight, not bent, not here, because you can come underneath, you can get that angle, straight. There's no way to get it. Now I know when I'm doing the rest of my base build that I'm not giving up a wrist. If I do the base build, but I leave my elbows here and I build my base, he's got that wrist. Who cares? I'm on my base, I keep up the wrist. So again, there's a lot of things going on here for especially young kids to remember all of these things. It's a lot. So the drill would be, when the guy's on top, give him the wrist. So this guy starts with the wrist. And we'll go like 10-second go, 15-second go. And the guy on bottom can't do anything but get his wrist free. And the guy on top can't do anything but try and keep the wrist. So they're not live wrestling. But just to give him the idea, so when I say go, he's going to try and keep it, and I'm going to get it free by simply putting my palms in the mat and straightening my arm. So 1, 2, 3, go. 2, It's just a matter of straightening your arm. You can't hold it. It's just, body don't bend that way. So once I get the kid trained to where, okay, when I'm in trouble with my wrist, I straighten out. Now, the base building becomes easy, because this guy don't have shit to hold on to. So maybe he's got an arm underneath, he's running like this here, and he's trying to feed wrist to this. Now that I'm free, outside knee comes up. When the outside knee comes up, I'm going to push my weight over that knee, and then bring my feet together, and I'm back. And I didn't give up wrist. It's the whole point of everything on bottom. Whatever we're doing, if it gives up a wrist, you can't do it, because that defeats the whole purpose. So if we make the mistake and we end up flat, palms in the mat to get your wrist straight. Stay there. The base building, the knee comes as high as you can to your chest. And I'm not doing a push-up. I'm not doing a push-up because, again, I'm exposing my wrist by doing that. If I come here and he's on top, and I do a push-up to get up, he's got my wrist. Automatically. Just by default. So I can't do that. I can't do a push-up. These have to stay out here when I do it. So this knee comes up, and then I push off my palms, and this is like a fulcrum. I'm just going to push over my own leg here to get up into my base, and bring my knees together, and I'm back in my master position. And now they should know that well, and they have another home base to go to. So that's if you give up that position and get flattened out. The second is if you do give up the wrist and it's trapped under. You can get out with your palms out when the wrist is out in front of you. Whereas if I'm near here, get the wrist, and it's in front of my chest, yeah, I can do this every time. But if I mess up and let him roll that all the way into my body, there's no more palm in the mat, right? So now we're in a different situation. If this is for all age groups, if somebody has your wrist, you lay flat. You have to lay flat until you get it free. Because if I come up with this wrist, he's going to tilt me instantly. Just instantly. Anybody that knows what they're doing is going to look for that. So, when someone has my wrist, like he does here, tucking on the area, and it's tight, my only concern on bottom is getting that wrist free. Not getting to my base, not trying to get up, because you're going to hurt yourself in doing so. So at this point, what I have to do is get this back in front of my chest, or there are, like if he has a 2-on-1, the old school ways still work. You can still come underneath, pry it off, all still good. However you want to get into the wrist free. I tend to find as you get older, it's harder to reach down and pry that when this dude's lifting and he's dragging it in and throwing my face into the mat, and I'm just here the whole time. It's a lot harder. So what I like to do, you're like sort of give me like a 50% live, like you were riding it. It's tough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this elbow in front of me, and then I'm going to push my chest back. So I got what I wanted without fighting the strength. So if I'm here, I'm not going to be able to rip it in front of me. I can't. But what he can't stop me from doing is just sliding my chest back. Now it's in front of me. Now that it's in front of me, I put my palm in the mat and get out. Again, we're doing all of this without giving up the positioning to get tilted, without getting turned. If I post up, I'm going to get half. So all those things, as you get older, become more and more detrimental. So again, he's on. He's got a good 2-on-1. He's rolling under like I teach him. He's doing a good job. It hurts. But if I can just slide my chest back from palm in the mat, now the wrist's out, get my base, and we're right back in the master position. So it seems like it's a lot when you add it all. But every time they're coming back to the same position that they've known and that they've learned, adding little pieces isn't so big. For when you actually get to this position where you're starting to come up. So I feel this hand is posting as a support, so I can sort of sway my body against whatever he's doing. So if he's trying to throw me that way, I'll lean my body this way. If he's trying to throw me forward, I'll lean my body down to try and push back. So I'm going to use my center of gravity to try and keep him at bay. But what we're really looking to do here, obviously, is get to our feet. Because we don't have them doing wrist control from bottom all the way, they're not always going to beat that guy to the locked hand. He's going to get his hands locked before you get up to your feet and get out sometimes. Sometimes you'll get the wrist. It'll happen. Sometimes as I'm coming up, I'll go for it, but he'll get his hands locked. Come here. So you got to your feet. You did the hard part. The number one thing I see kids do from here is try and escape as more of a priority than staying on your feet. The priority is stay on your feet. The escape comes from it. But if I'm trying so hard to get this escape that I make it easy for him to return me to the mat, that's not really benefiting what I want. In our sport, for whatever reason, this guy's got 5 seconds to return you to the mat before you get a stall call. Well, attempt to return you to the mat. But you can pretty much make it so he can attempt to return you to the mat. So, first thing that has to happen is you have to drop your center of gravity. If I'm up this high, I'm going flying. So I come into my stance here, I'm low. Just this alone, if Mir tries to pick me up from there, get ahead. No, not like I taught you. We're going to cover that, but not like I taught you. Just pick me up from here. Nobody's picking you up from here. Your gravity's low, it's not going to happen. When you're at this stage, if he's giving you space in here, it's not like tight, it's easy. 1 foot goes out. Doesn't matter what foot it is. When it goes out, it turns the corner. Now notice, I'm not leaning back into him. So where I see a lot of kids when they do this, they go like this, and they put all that weight, and all of a sudden, let's go, turn me. I'm going to pull. So it's not a lean until you fall. It's stretching how far he can go from his chest to the furthest grip he can get before it breaks. So when I step that foot out, I'm going to consistently lower my level, lower my level, lower my level. Here, here. Eventually, his hands only reach so far before they got to break. But I'm not leaning into him. I'm extending the outside foot and lowering. Now that it's broke, now I can cut through and get to my stand up. That's your ideal getaway because it's risk-free. Once I break that, you've got nothing. You dive on your leg, maybe that's about all I've got.
And for the little guys, man, I feel like making sure that you're telling them don't lean is going to be a big point of emphasis because even at the high school level, those guys will get up and lean, and then the top guy is just going to drag you back down. So making sure that they step out to try to use their hip to pop their hands and lower the level without leaning is something that's going to be really key to getting pretty understanding.
Who can go lower, whatever you got to do at 6, 7, 8 years old to make them have fun with it, but as they get older, it becomes more and more important. If this guy knows what he's doing, and he's got tight grip, pinched elbows. Now I don't have space, hip to hip. This is about where he should be. Otherwise, you don't want to get yelled at, right? This is where he should be, because now I'm in his pocket. He can pop them hips and lift me at any time, because I'm not able to get low and get away. So if the guy knows what he's doing, you're not always going to be able to get this in the spot. Break it. Especially if that guy's a friggin' Hulk in high school. He's been lifting all season. So in college, they'll teach you, most of the guys who wrestle are going to be lifting all season. It's going to be hard to break that lock. I don't have to break the lock. I have to keep his hips away from my hips. As long as there's space between my hips and his hips, he can't never lift me. Never. So when I drop into my stance, I'm going to take both of my hands and push him on his knees. So if he tries to come to the side this way, this hand blocks the knee. If he tries to come to the side the other way, blocks the knee. If you try and get in any way, and I stay here and keep blocking your knee back and you can't lift me, me and him will be yelling at the ref. 5, 6 seconds, going, let's go. And then their coach will be like, go. So yeah, the goal is to get away, but it's not always the easiest way to get away by fighting. So again, when Mir's here, and I'm one of them guys that's just not going to give it to him. If he lets me get to the side, he's done. If he keeps blocking away, that's about what you're going to get. Maybe 2 or 3 of them. So getting the kids to understand that when you get to your feet, stay there. Yes, there's standing switches. Yes, there's standing reactors. Yes, there's moves here. They have a place. 95% of the time, you're better off staying on your damn feet. Because it's hard to get there against a good kid. If you're here and this is your 3rd time on your feet, you're getting there quickly, you can't get away, sure, then you can try standing switch, whatever move you want to get to. It's wrestling, you're going to have to improv. But ultimately, getting to your feet and staying on your feet is the goal. And if I don't give up wrist on bottom, and I keep maintaining my base, without giving up risks and turns, and our kids are now just getting to their feet, this kid's